The official announcement that Uhuru Kenyatta had secured his second term in office was no surprise for millions of Kenyans. But a low voter turnout of 38% has raised questions around the legitimacy of this election, which was ordered by the Supreme Court after it annulled August's presidential vote, saying the Electoral Commission had committed illegalities.
On October 26th, 90% of those same voters came out once again to support my bill. This was nothing more than a revalidation of their general will, a statement of their national intent in support of myself and in support of our Jubilee government, which was their choice.
The rerun was marred by violent protests when opposition leader Raila Odinga and his National Super Alliance Party boycotted the election, preventing at least 1.8 million Kenyans in opposition strongholds from voting. In total, at least 12 million Kenyans stayed away from the polls. Observer missions say besides the impact of the boycott, violence and intimidation kept many other voters away from polling stations.
They have rigged the future of our youth.
Odinga described the vote as a sham, with the Electoral Commission not making the reforms the opposition had demanded for it to participate in the vote.
Virtually every other issue that we raised that last time is present in this election and more. And what has happened is that this time round, I think the IEBC was in a crisis of legitimacy, a crisis of trying to show up the numbers so that it appears that there's a legitimate mandate for President Uhuru Kenyatta. And in the course of it, they have done unimaginable things. I can think of at least 17 different grounds for nullification.
Even if the election is challenged at the Supreme Court, there are concerns the court may not act independently. Concerns around the independence of the judiciary were heightened when the court refused to hear a petition to postpone last week's rerun, saying there weren't enough judges present. Whether or not this election is challenged legally, there are many Kenyans that hope this final announcement will bring months of political tensions and uncertainty to an end. But as Kenyatta addressed the nation asking for unity, fresh protests began, fueling fears that both political and ethnic rivalries are far from over. Fahmida, Jazeera, Nairobi.